Dateline, November 5th, 1605. King James I of England himself has discovered a nefarious plot to destroy the House of Lords during the state opening of England's Parliament using 36 full barrels of gunpowder, an amount that would have leveled the entire building and the surrounding area. The plotters chose this date because while their principal aim was to kill King James, many other important targets would also be present at the state opening, including the monarch's nearest relatives and members of the Privy Council. The senior judges of the English legal system, most of the Protestant aristocracy, and the bishops of the Church of England would all have attended in their capacity as members of the House of Lords. 13 conspirators involved with the plot have been captured by the King's men, and such an incident proves that the decades-long battle between Catholics and Protestants that began with King Henry VIII is still as hot as ever. The plot was discovered when the King was shown an anonymous letter that was sent to William Parker, Lord Monteagle, a fellow Catholic, warning him about the plot and urging him to be away from Parliament on the day. Uncertain of the letter's meaning, Monteagle passed the letter around until it eventually reached the King, who immediately deduced that it hinted at some stratagem of fire and powder, and ordered a search of all of the buildings surrounding Westminster Palace. The plotters used an old undercroft under a nearby house that extended to directly beneath the first floor of the House of Lords, where they planned to explode the gunpowder. On November the 4th, as the plotters were busy making their final preparations, Monteagle and 2 other men entered the undercroft to perform the search ordered by the King. They found a large pile of firewood, accompanied by what they presumed to be a serving man, who told them that the firewood belonged to his master, Thomas Percy. Once they left to report their findings, the servant, who turned out to be one Guy Fawkes, the man assigned by the plotters to guard the barrels and light the fuse, also left the building. The mention of Percy's name aroused further suspicion as he was already known to the authorities as a Catholic agitator, so the King ordered a more thorough search of the undercroft. On the second search later that night, they again found Fawkes, dressed in a cloak and hat and wearing boots and spurs. He was arrested, and a search of his person revealed a pocket watch, several slow matches, and kindling. 36 full barrels of gunpowder were discovered hidden under piles of sticks and coal, an amount that, if detonated, would have had a catastrophic effect. Here's Hank for more. Thanks, Yank. I'm here in the actual undercroft, directly beneath the House of Lords that the conspirators used to nearly execute their dark plot. 36 full barrels of gunpowder, along with a man calling himself John Johnson, who we now know is actually called Guy Fawkes, were discovered here, and the barrels are currently being wheeled out by the King's men as I speak. The power of the explosion created by so much gunpowder would have been such that the 7-foot deep concrete walls that constructed the House of Lords would have been reduced to rubble, and no one within 330 feet, or about 100 meters, of the blast could have survived. All of the stained glass windows in Westminster Abbey would have been shattered, as would all of the windows in the vicinity of the palace. The explosion would have been seen from miles away and heard from further away still. Even if only half of the gunpowder had gone off, everyone in the House of Lords and its environs would have been killed instantly. Hold this, please. And it all would have happened thanks to one tiny flame, such as this. A truly scary thought.
Hey, what are you doing?
What? Thanks, Hank. Despite catching the conspirators red-handed, literally sitting on top of 36 barrels of gunpowder, only Guy Fawkes had been captured. The other 12 plotters fled in different directions, but most linked back up with each other in the hopes of sparking a popular Catholic revolution. Unfortunately for them, the fugitives encountered little support during their flight and eventually stopped at Holbesh House, on the border of Staffordshire, where they made their last stand against 200 of the King's men, where they all died. It took 2 days of torture and interrogation to break Guy Fawkes, who, although complimented by King James, who described Fawkes as possessing a Roman resolution, confessed the details of the plot and everyone involved. Guy Fawkes and the 7 other co-conspirators were tried for high treason in January of 1606, and all were found guilty and sentenced to be drawn, hanged, and quartered. The men's punishments were then carried out just opposite the building they had planned to blow up, in the old palace yard at Westminster. Surely a gruesome end to a gruesome plot that will live in infamy throughout British history. Thanks for watching.